All right, good morning, everybody. We're here for another guest speaker. Today we have Tony Bowren here. And Tony got his start in the video game industry back in 1992. He was creating the Interplay logo animation, and he went on to learn more about motion capture from Acclaim Entertainment. After some years of supervising VFX for commercials, he started working in feature animation. His first movie was Osmosis Jones at Warner Brothers Animation. And it was his whole love for games that brought him back to be a lead technical artist at NCSoft, working on the MMO WildStar. His attention then turned to Unreal Engine, where he went on to run his own company working with Google, Smilegate, and Wargaming.net. It eventually became clear that the best place to work for the future of animation was at Epic Games. As a solution architect, his days are spent helping companies around the world solve their animation issues and to learn how to use new animation features in Unreal Engine. Tony, we're happy that you're here. So I'll stop sharing and I'll let you have the floor.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. Let's see. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. So today we're going to talk about virtual cameras for animation. So this is like a vCam 101, and traditionally vCams are used for virtual production, but there's no reason why you can't use them in your animations. Let's see. As Brian said, I'm Tony Bowren. These are some of the projects I worked on at Epic. So the car configurator, the Rivian demo, the Matrix, the Sleigh, and also really the last 6 months, really heavily focused on this virtual production visualization guide, right? And this is what gave me this background in the vCam that I'm going to share with you today. So the plan today, right, is I'm going to explain the basics of the vCam for Unreal Engine, because you guys are a wide range of experiences. Some of you have used vCam before, some of you don't even maybe know what it is, right? So, or how to use it, right? And the goal here, and this is sort of like our boss, the solution architects, Miles Perkins, he has this phrase, run to ground. You run something to ground, you try all the things, you break things, you run through all the paces. So the goal today is to show you the vCam, but really you don't just use the vCam by itself, right? The vCam is the heart of it is right into take recorder and into sequencer. So you can't just use it by itself. It's with the system, and it's really important that you understand how all the pieces work together, right? When you are making your project, whether it's with the vCam or not, you're going to be dealing with level sequences. You're going to be dealing maybe with take recorder, and so understanding how these components go together, it's going to make a big difference in your final production. Usually for these things, I think there's two kinds of people. There's the people who are nervous about their final sequencer edit, and then there's the people who should be nervous about putting together their final sequencer edit, right? So so I'm going to try to break things. There's some things that are already set up to break that you might come into across, and so we're going to see them break, and then so you'll see them when they break for you, and then you'll maybe even they won't break for you, maybe, if we're lucky, right? So going to talk about the virtual production guide. I just want to give you this reference, so you can go back to it and look at it for references later. I'm going to talk about what's a vCam. I'm going to talk about what hardware you're going to need and the software setup. I'm going to go under the hood a little bit and show you how it works. I think it's important because it's a tool that you can build on, and so some people are using vCam with like the iPhones and iPads, but you can actually use it also with tracking devices like a Vive Mars tracker. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about the how it works so that you can sort of understand it. And then we're going to get into working with take recorder, with sequencer, and the tips and tricks will be thrown in along the way. This is mostly like we're going to break stuff, okay? So hopefully you'll learn from the breaking. Okay, this way. Okay, so if you go onto the dev community, or you go into YouTube. If you search virtual production visualization, it's a catchy little tune that we came up with that no one's using. You'll find the guide or links to the guide, right? And it's ongoing. We are continually adding to it. I'm actually in the process of making some new content for it, for puppeteering characters, for car take recorder, kind of like we're going here. Also, we're doing something about level sequence management, right? So this is a great guide. It a good reference. Definitely check it out and refer to it later if you have problems this way. Okay, what's vCam? Why do I care? Right? Well, it's fun. First of all, it is actually quite fun to use, but for an animation, right? Because this is an animation fellowship, the vCam is going to allow you to have a more natural way of filming your characters and your content. You'll have handheld. You'll see as I play with this. I can quickly get motions. I can explore shots, right? Very intuitively and fun, and just try lots of different stuff. So it's something where if you're just setting keyframes by hand, you might not try all the possibilities. You might not stumble upon some of the accidents. You might not experiment as much, right? Because it's pretty fun to experiment. And then you could also use real world lenses for this, right? And that's some people that they're familiar with that, so it gives them an understanding of there's like a filmmaking language of what lenses to use and what those mean beyond just a zoom. If you end up taking this more into virtual production with actual lenses, real lenses, then it's good to just know these kids and understand film backs, that kind of stuff. Okay, hardware requirements, right? There's always these slides. There's a big list of numbers and a big list of like stats that I hate this page, but keep it simple, right? You're gonna need an iPad or an iPhone that supports ARKit, right? Today I am just using my iPhone, right? It's iPhone 11, right? Most of the people that use the vCam, you're gonna see them with iPads and with fancy handles and that kind of stuff, right? The power vCam users are going to actually have like a tear deck, I think it's called. It's like a video monitor that's streaming directly. But so there's a whole range of hardware, but you can just, you want to do it in your room like I'm doing here, you can just use a phone or an iPad. The iPad is a little easier to hit the buttons, but yeah, I don't mind the phone at all. You will need a wireless router of some sort because you need to have the data. It doesn't have to be wireless. You can hook it up, but you need a connection that is on the network to your computer. And the fewer devices that you have connected, the better. These devices, they take a lot of bandwidth, mostly because the pixel streaming data back to your phone. So we've definitely seen multiple vCams fighting for bandwidth, right? So ideally, like even at the stage, we have like a router separate for each computer, right? Try to really protect the data. Even that doesn't always help. So if you have a big room with lots of people, it's a problem. If you're just at home, it's probably fine. And then a desktop or a laptop, that the faster the better. I mean, and then they say NVIDIA GPU 3070, that it's really more, especially when you're doing any kind of take recorder or capture, the better your frame rate, the better the data, right? You really need to have a nice good frame rate, right? That's the key. Okay, I was going the wrong way. Okay, so first thing you got to do though is you have to download the app, right? So it's free. It's on the App Store. Just live link vCam. Got to grab that. And then there's some software setup. By default, a lot of these things don't get turned on in Unreal, these plugins. There's three main ones. There's the virtual camera. There's the take recorder, because you need that. You can't do anything with virtual camera, really useful, unless you put it in take recorder to record it, right? And then there's live link camera, and that's just the live link protocol that allows you to control the camera, right? And then you have to make sure you're on the same network. This probably won't happen at home because you probably only have one network, but at the stage, there's lots of networks. And so oftentimes the phone defaults to some other network or the tablet and it's not working. It's connecting, it's not connecting, right? And it's because, oh, do you on VR wireless? Oh yeah, it moved, right? So that there's not a lot of things that go wrong with vCam, but that's the one that will better check because that happens a lot, right? And then sort of the next thing that's super critical is that inputting your IP address. You have to tell it, even if it's tethered, it's still a network on the computer, a computer on the network, and you need to say who you're talking to, right? So wrong way. Here we go. So there's the old school way in Windows. You have to open a command prompt and you have to type ipconfig. You'd think that this would be a little easier, but it shouldn't scare you too much. I know a lot of people, especially animators, they don't want to type any kind of numbers, but so you'll see something and it's not uncommon for your household router to have 192, 168 as the first numbers, and then the last two are unique to that subnet, your machine. And this number right here, I grayed out all the ones above it, but this number right here, people are always so afraid, oh, you can't show this, right? This number is just local to your network. If a hacker had that number, they really, there's nothing they could do with it here. So don't worry too much about that. The other numbers, presumably someone could get in your computer. I don't know. Okay. And then the other way to do this is actually a fancy way to get your IP address, which I really like, is here you're seeing once you put your vCam actor in the scene, it'll automatically be enabled, right? And once it's enabled, wrong way, you can go to the pixel streaming dialog box at the top, the drop down. If you click that, you will see all of the able IP addresses. So once you understand how to drop that vCam in there, then you never have to do an IP config. These blacked out ones, those are like the Epic VPN. So I did hide those, but yeah. So this is a nice way, just so you're not always going into the DOS box and seeing that once you have it set up, right? So can't do this the first time, but once you know everything, this is a great way to go. Okay, now you have that number, the address. What do you do with it, right? You want to go back to the app and put it in there, right? This is big pink. This frame is hilarious. This huge pink frame. There's a little number in the middle. And put that in there, and then you can press connect. But you're going to have it enabled on the PC side. We're going to do this a bunch of times today, so this will make more sense. Okay, and then once this thing is in the scene, if you select the live link, you'll see that there's a live link name. It probably starts with vCam1. I did turn it on and off. It became 3. And you don't have to worry about this because when you do it, it'll disconnect. But like if you have like a Vive tracker or something, you might want to set another source onto your vCam. So this is just sort of understanding how it goes underneath. And then the vCam actor automatically gets assigned to that same name, right? So it's just normally you won't touch it, but I like to know how things work under the hood a little bit. Okay. This is where we get into the details, okay? How you manage some of this stuff is going to really make your life more or less miserable or good, right? So there's a few pieces of understanding, right? Like you have this vCam actor, and what we will see here is that's the thing you interact with. That's where you enable it, disable it. But you keep having this vCam actor record hanging around, right? And this is really important because you're going to try to record the vCam actor, but it's the record that gets actually recorded. I don't know why, but I'm sure there's a fancy reason for doing this, but so you need to be aware that the vCam actor is not what you're ever recording. You're recording the vCam actor record. Presumably, that's why they named it record. But and it doesn't even matter which you put in the take recorder. You're going to get record, right? So super critical to know that. Okay, and then in a second we're going to turn this on. But what I want you to see first of all is when you enable the vCam, there's these icons on the side, right? There's a little camera on the left hand side, and then there's a little wrench on the right hand side, and you press those, and those open up a bunch of boxes. We're going to go through them a little bit, but I want to definitely start doing the vCam. So there's lots of documentation on the individual details, but what you will see is I use 3 or 4 of them a lot, and the rest of them almost never or rarely, right? So yeah, on the left hand side are the camera, and these will change what the image looks like, right? It'll be like what lens you're using, what film back. Your film back will probably never change once you set it. The ISO, so much of the stuff you can tweak afterwards in sequencer. So a power user might adjust it, but you're not going to change it too much when you're recording, probably. The near clipping you could set if it's something too close and it's disappearing, and then you can change the overlays. On an iPhone, you can barely see it anyways. It doesn't matter. And then of course the big one is the lens. If you have a zoom lens, right?
Hey Tony.
Yes.
Can you move your toolbar up at the top there for zoom? It seems to be in the way. Can you move it onto a second screen if you have one?
Like that?
No, right there. Well, that's good. And then you have something across the top, like a bar there. What's showing that?
How about that? Is that gone?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. No, of course. Okay. And then on the other side, right? And I think we are like at the, yeah, we're at this is like the last slide. Then we'll get to the fun. There's some settings. The wrench is just how the camera moves, right? So, and this scale and gain setting is something you'll see a lot. And there's a hold. You can freeze the iPad and move it. You can zero the camera out, although this tends to just make the camera go 0, which is never what I want. There's flight mode, so it changes a little bit the way it works. But most of the time I don't touch that. Kill roll is interesting because it stops the dutching of the camera. Maybe today we're gonna roll a lot, but it's good to have, right? And then there's the spline mode, and you can create your own rig rails. This we don't use that much. I'm gonna show you how to put the vCam on a car and move it around. So you could just, the process I'm doing, you could just put any camera rig rail in there. So I find it to be a little easier to do that stuff in the scene. So okay, all right. So some of the things we're going to talk about and play with here, I'm going to show you some bookmarks because it's really handy. I do have an Xbox controller. You can also use that for the vCam. We're going to attach it to a vehicle. We're going to talk about possessable and spawnable. This is so critical to working in sequencer, right? We have to talk about it. And then there's take recorder settings, and we're going to use some of the defaults and see what those problems create. And then assembling in sequencer, and then camera cuts, because the camera cut is what shows your vCam to the world through sequencer. Okay. So let's go here. Let's make this full screen. Okay. So vCam. Here's the actor. Okay, so and the thing about the vCam is you can just anytime you can come over here, and there's virtual production. You can just drop one in. You don't want to drop multiple, but if you delete it, something gets weird, you can just make it again, right? But okay, so to turn the vCam on or off, you have to drill down into this vCam actor, and then the first property is enabled, right? So when I click enabled, it's going to bring up the UI, right? And so this is basically saying, okay, I'm ready to accept a signal, right, for the vCam, right? So I have my phone here, and again, I could use iPad, but I'm not fancy. Let's use a phone. Okay, so now it's connecting, and so now I've got my phone here, and I can move it around. See, I'll show you here, these buttons on the left, you see they're opening and they're closing. And so I'm going to start on the left, just real quick. I click on the first one, that's my my zoom lens, right? So I can zoom in and out. And then there's also irises and f-stops for focus on this side, but like we have auto exposure. So some people love to do their focus, you know, in the vCam. I feel like focus can easily be done in post, right? So it's up to you if you really care about it. Then there's film backs, and so again, this is, you're going to set this once and probably never change it for your project. I forget what I even had. And there's this, yeah, there's these dials, and you the thumb, you can change it. ISO, again, that's, you know, it's all auto exposure, so this is really more for getting into the camera people. We have clipping planes and near clipping planes. If you get too close, let's see here. And then we have our overlays, and you can kind of see different things changing. Probably for some people who are really into it, those are really useful. I'm not that fancy. Okay, on the other side, we've got, this is my favorite here, this first one. This is your scale factor, okay? This is the thing you're gonna mess with the most. And you can kind of see here when I move around my phone. I don't know if you can see me as well as the screen, but I think so. And actually, let's make this bigger. You don't need all this wasted UI. Okay, so right now you'll see on the left there's a scale axis of 1, and that just means every foot, meter, I don't know what country you guys are from all, you move your phone, that's going to move that much in a reel, right? But the fun thing to do is to crank this baby up to, like, I don't know, 5, right? And now it's going to multiply. So when I move 1 unit in the vCam, I'm getting 5 times that in the digital world. And this is great. And you can even go to 10, right? You can go crazy here. Because now you can start to really get some smooth dynamic motions, and you know, you don't have to move as much with your body. So, and then, you know, the flip side, you can actually go down, and so if you wanted a lot of precision, you can go to less. But I typically stay in the 5 to 10 because I love to be able to do these sweeping motions that you know, it's super fun. And then the other side, there is joystick gain. So, you know, when you use your thumb, you can move your there's like a joystick on the screen with your left and right. One, your left, one moves you around, the right thumb, it'll slide you left and right, and then go up and down in the air. So this affects that. Turning is just turning, right? There is a cool button here called, below this, called hold. Here, let me show it. So hold, when I click this one, this stops the camera in the world, but you can move your phone, and then you can undo it. And now this is your new 0 point. And so I'll say this. I like to see the screen when I'm recording. For the most part, you know, they do a great job of trying to minimize the lag, but I just prefer to see the screen. There's no lag. The pixel streaming is good, but real time looking at this actual screen is way better. So I try to orient myself so that I can see a screen, whether it's a monitor at the stage or just this, you know, my computer. So this is really handy to reposition yourself. Or, you know, if you wanted, say I wanted it to be down below, and I can pause it, I can hold it, and then I can go back up here. And now I've got the fidelity I want in the area, the moving space that I want. But the vCam, you know, the camera is where it's not locked. So, you know, that's just very handy. There's this 0 button, which I'm not going to press because it'll send me to 0, 0, 0, which I don't want. There's this fly mode, airplane mode, and this just affects how the flying controls, they work a little differently. I don't even know if I touch it much. And then like I say, there's the Dutch mode or not Dutch. So the roll. So now I'm rotating the camera crazily, but it's always straight up and down. And like I say, probably lots of reasonable shoots you want that on, but I'm going to be unreasonable today. I'm going to be really fun. So, and then okay, then there's the last one is the spline, which are the camera rail, which we're not going to get into today on this. Okay, so going to do a recording, right? What we have here is, this is not a virtual production class, right? This is for animation, right? So we needed some animation. And so the idea is that we would have, let me turn this off, some animation already done, right? But I didn't have any animation done. So I'm going, okay, I disconnected the phone, and then you want to disable here. So I needed to create some animation, right? And as you see, I do lots of work with the cars, and I like to take recorder. So what we have here is we have a car that we are going to, let's call this car. And we are going to take this car, we're going to put it into the take recorder. So when I drive this car, it's going to record it. We also have a assistant here. And we're going to put our assistant into the take recorder too. In this case, everything we're doing is 24 FPS. So here we have our 24 FPS. Okay. So we can start hitting play, and then the car is going to be waiting for us. Right, and now it's running. So I can hit record. It's going to do a countdown, 1, and I can drive this thing. And as long as I reach 100 miles an hour or kilometers an hour, I can make the jump. Oh, I didn't quite make the 100 miles an hour. Okay, so didn't quite clear it, but I think that's a very useful animation that we can use here. So I did the recording. This process you're going to see me do a lot. I'm going to review the last recording. You do this 1,000 times. So you're gonna.
Hey, Tony.
Yes.
Can you make sure that you turn off your optimized video? Because right now you're looking a little pixelated.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. So there you go. Okay. So now we've got our recording. You have to turn on the camera and the camera cuts track. I know this is not a sequencer class, but we're going to be spending a lot of time in sequencer. This camera cuts track chooses which cameras to use, and this car has a camera in it, right? So now we can play this back, and you see there's 2 cars. We're going to go into this here in a second. Okay, so we run through. Okay, this is good. I can pause it. I can detach from the camera, and then I can look around and scrub. I think this is an exciting base animation that we could build on, right? And we could do some vCam with, right? Because it's not enough to just talk about vCam. You must use the vCam. Okay. So, okay, this is great. I love it. And this is going to be our base. This is going to be our base animation, right? So this could have been an animation that someone did in Maya or whatever in Unreal. You can do that now. But this is what I want to use as my foundation for all my shots, right? So one of the, and you can see here, it's recorded. It's called Car 01. You can load it here. I can see the pieces. One thing that is really important when you're working with, this is mostly virtual production, but sequencer in general, is that you need to protect your, mostly motion capture, but you need to protect your data, right? So here I've got this car 1, it's level sequence, and at the top level, it's got a camera cut, and it's got these sub levels in it, right? And the sub scenes, and I can see them there and here. And each one of these is this is just the car, and this is just the one's the pawn. And inside there, got the animation, right? And let's look at this animation here, because this starts to get into the details of what I'm talking about, understanding here, right? So like this character, if you notice, she's just standing there and she's moving in place, right? And same with the car here. We look at the car. It's not really driving, just the wheels are driving, right? And so this gets into this whole world of default settings in Sequencer and what you need to know, right? Why is that the case? Why is it do it? Why is it happening, right? And if I actually go to the sequence, you can actually see the path, which this is really cool. However, sometimes in the world of production, you might want to go to Maya, you might want to make some tweaks, you might want to bring things back, and this animation here is not going to help you because you have no idea what the car is doing, right? And this curve may or may not be easy to get back into Maya, right? So I like this because I like to see what's going on here in the scene. I can see exactly, but I also like to know why it's there, right? So and if you didn't want it, how to get rid of it, right? So in your take recorder settings, you've got remove root animation, and this is by default turned on. And this says if it's true, we don't put the animation on the root, we put this on the track in the sequencer. And
Hey, Tony,
yes,
we've got a question real quick.
yeah.
How did you do the initial animation for the car for the take? Were you driving it?
I just drove. Yes, I just drove it. Yes.
Okay, so it was just a car. You pulled it off of Marketplace. It has game control capabilities, and you drove it like a regular game car.
Yes, and here it is. I just didn't happen to. This is the default template car, right? I just happened to only drive straight. But yeah, there's nothing fancy. If you go and create a new Unreal Engine scene in the templates, you'll get the car template, right? This is just a car template, right? I try in my demos not to use too much weird stuff because I can't share that stuff, right? So in this case, mannequin, car, these are just environment, scene, super plain. I'm trying to make things that somebody could do, right? You know, so yeah, this is nothing fancy.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's a great question. Okay, so anyways, so by default, I had the root animation, right? So, okay, so I want to use this. Now, this is my animation that I want to use for my base, right? If you came at this from no virtual production, you'd be starting right where I am. You've got an animation and you want to vCam on it, right? Because there's lots of ideas that you could come up with how to shoot this, right? So you might want, and I always, if you want to find out what you just recorded here, or you can, this button here shows this, right? So this, what I'm going to show you is super important if you work in Sequencer. You need to protect your data. You need to make sure that if you have stuff that you're going to adjust in any way, you don't ruin the source stuff, but it's got this hierarchy, right? Well, if you select this and you drag it here, and you do have an advanced copy, you save everything, it's fine. You get this drop down, right? And you can see all the pieces that are in this. And I could not do a production in Unreal in Sequencer without this tool. I use it for so much, right? So here I want this car at the top level. I can see I've got the sub scene with the animation of the car underneath it, right? I got the that's the character. It's called Car 1. I got the pawn and the animation, right? So what I can say is this was named Car 1. That was the shot, right? Well, this is now my demo base. Because I'm going to be dropping this into the next sequencer, and I want to be able to easily find it and drop it in, right? So now if you notice, I don't check the blueprints because I don't really need to copy the characters. I'm just copying the animations. And this is going to, you'll see here, when I say, okay, it's going to take the word Car 1, it's going to replace it with demo base. Now they don't say by default, so you want to go in and actually, let's see if I save all. And this is good to know too, because it could crash in the next recording, and then all these things that you have in there but you didn't actually save, they all get lost, right? But so now I've got a copy of demo base. It's exactly the same as before, but if I go and tweak this and change this, and this will happen, great studios that I work with, they will have these hierarchies, and then someone doesn't realize that they've gone down into here and then they made some changes on this sub level, and they just messed up a bunch of other stuff that was pointing to it. So if you copy the stuff and you do this advanced copy, you keep your hierarchy, you will save yourself so much drama. Okay, so I'm taking a long time here. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the base. Now we're going to clear the pending take. And I want to use this demo base as my default. But so here's a problem. Like this demo base has in it a camera cut track. If you try to use this camera cut track in your scenes, vCam fights with it because the things below it in the sequencer get priority. So you want to delete this. And this is what I'm talking about. Why it's nice to segregate it and protect it, because now you don't have to worry about breaking some scene that you recorded that you might want to use later. I'm just going to get rid of the whole camera cuts track. Okay, and then inside here, these are spawned, right? There's lots of talk. Team spawnable, team possessible. What's better, right? Well, we're gonna show you here some of the problems of spawnable. I love team spawnable. I love it, but it has its problems. Okay, so here's the base. You notice we have two cars, so let's get rid of the old car. We'll hide it, and then we have the old character. So now we only have one character and one car. Okay, and then we are going to clear this take. We're gonna name this follow cam. Okay, and now we're gonna drag this base into our base track that because when we run vCam, we have to have something that we're actually vCamming, right? But we don't want the actor. We're not recording anymore. We don't want the source car pawn. So what we want is the vCam actor. So the vCam actor, if we just turn this on and I enable the vCam, and I'm way behind schedule here. And I hit play on the interface. Well, the car just drove away, right? Well, that's not good. I could try to chase it, but that's not useful. So what we need to do is we need to parent the vCam onto the car, right? So in this case, here's our spawn, our pawn, our spawned pawn. We can drag this underneath here, under the root, right? So now, and you notice this vCam actor record, it went along with it. It just moves around. I didn't do that. It just does what it wants. Now when I hit play on the vCam, now the vCam is following along with it, right? Oh, look at this. I just did this recording and I'm playing back, and at 5 seconds, it stopped. What the hell, right? Well, there is a project settings. There is the duration, if you spell it right. And by default, timelines are 5 seconds. This always burns you. If you record something, it'll go past the 5 seconds. But if you're just playing back, it will stop at 5 seconds. And again, you may have no clue when you're playing with it. That's why your vCam doesn't work. So that's a gotcha. Okay, so now that's there we go. So that's for all new ones. I can just take this now. I can move it out here. But now we want to make sure that for future we don't get burned on that, right? So okay, move the car out. Okay, so this is great. We can move the car. So let's rewind the beginning. And we can either hit record on the so here, now what are we recording? We're recording the vCam actor. But I told you the vCam actor record is the thing that actually gets recorded. So if we just record this, right? With all the defaults, and we go to the beginning and I hit record. There's a little record button on the bottom right, the red button on the iPad, and it will do a countdown. So now I think I'm recording. Oh, what the heck, right? I was with the car. It's no longer with the car again, right? What the heck just happened, right? Well, because the car is spawned, and it was attached to a spawn character, it despawned and then respawned, and now it was no longer attached to that car anymore because it was a different car, right? So when you're dealing with attachments, you do not want to have spawn characters because they will disappear. And this is the same with constraints. You can constrain something and then it disappears in the spawn because you go out of the frame and you lost it, right? So this will burn you and it will make you curse. So I'm just showing to you now. So how do you fix this, right? You go into the actual sequence, and this is again, I am now modifying the core recording. So if I didn't protect this and copy this, I am now going to be making changes to something that another sequence might be touching, right? So here we can take the sports car and we convert to possessable. Now this car will always be in the world and I could always rely on it, right? Okay, I'm going to save this, save everything often. And then we're going to take this vCam. Now we're going to put it back under the root of the vCam, and let's enable this again. Okay, and we're going to connect it again. Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning. Okay, so now we can reposition ourselves. Okay, so now it's spawnable, it's not possessable. The vCam record is recording, so let's record it again. And now let's see here. Hit the record button. It should do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So now we're following it. That's exciting. I can move my car. We're flying in the air. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Look at that. And then we land on the ground. Okay. So, and then cut. Hit the red button again. So let's review this, right? Let's turn off the vCam. Let's go. No, let's review the last recording. Okay, turn this key thing on. There we go. Okay, so this looks good, but I'm looking and I see there's another car, right? Here's sports car, pawn, follow again, and then there's a demo base. So why is that the case? Well, the default for take recorder is, it's clear pending take. Let's just go back. Is to, where is it? Record parent hierarchy. Okay. Well, what that means is you're going to get everything up above that's included. And some studios want to have like a translation. You know, they want this hierarchy that they want all those pieces, and they record all that stuff, which is then you can adjust it later. Maybe you have camera wheels on one, but in this case, because the camera parent was the sports car, I actually recorded another copy of it, right? So I don't actually want another copy of the sports car in every single one. It's going to just slow things down and create drama. So you don't want record parent hierarchy. Okay. So then these are the kinds of things that you know, you just, once you figure them out, once you breaks your stuff and messes you out, once you learn the stuff, it goes way smoother. So, okay. So now we're not going to do parent hierarchy. Let's see, we're back to the beginning. We're going to reconnect. This is all for our first shot, but it goes much faster once you get the first shot down. These are all the things that you might come upon. Okay, let's try this again. We got the vCam recorded. We got the no parent hierarchy. I can also hit record from up here. There's the countdown. It's not doing anything. There we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. So now we're recording. Got this cool camera motion. Okay. And then okay. And cut. And cut. All right. Let's review this again. View last recording. Okay. Turn on the camera. Okay. Got my motion. That's great. I've got my vCam and the demo. This is perfect, right? So this is what I wanted. I've got just the camera recorded and the camera cut track came with it, and then the demo base came along. So that's great. We're gonna hold on to this here, right? So clear pending take. Okay, that's our follow cam. Now we're going to have a front cam. And this is where you can start to make a lot of progress here. Okay, so now we want, the way I have it set up here is I am dragging this demo base into here every time. So that's my foundation that I'm recording into, right? Let's go to the front of the car this time. So here I can move to the position I like. Let's go. And when I find something, I can hold the position. It's not working this time. I don't know if maybe it's because I've got my I'm not using an iPad, so I'm hitting my thumb on the screen. But okay, let's go over here. We'll find it here this way. Okay. We are running out of time here. Okay. So I'm going to do another recording now. This is the front cam. So hit this, 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay. All right. Now let's say that I want to assemble that, right? I'm going to turn off the vCam, turn it off. Let's review it though. You got to review it because who knows what you got. Okay. Okay, that looks great. Okay, so clear pending take. What I want to do now is I want to actually assemble what I've got and look at it. So here's the demo base. Got this animation. I know that, let's see, follow cam 3 was great. And you can go into the subscene and just drag the camera there. I don't need all the pieces, just the camera. And then front cam 1, drag this into here, right up. Okay. So now I want to add a camera cut track. And I can start with, so what you'll notice is all these cameras are named vCam Actor Record, which is can be super frustrating. But if you add your bindings through your through the name of the sublevel, then this is what you care more about. So we're going to start with the follow cam. Okay, and let's make this bigger. And then we're going to move here to the hit plus and do the front cam. Okay, so here, and this is where the edit happens here. Okay, now what I'd like to do is put another camera in here. And then what I just did on purpose here is I realize I'm in the pending take. If I wanted to save this out, you might be like, oh crap, I am in the pending take. I wanted to save this as a sequence. No, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't know I was in the pending take, right? You can actually, this is super handy. You can go here, you can save as. So I can save this, even if it's part of a pending take, I can save this as its own file. Pulling it out of the pending take. So now this is a new base take. And then the other option here, so this is where is it? Of course you have to remember what you called it. Demo, here we go. Okay. So this is by itself. This is my edit here. I can scrub it. But if I wanted to drop a camera into here, right? You can also clear this. And you can say, right click, record with take recorder. What this is going to do, this is going to put this sequence into here. And now actually, if I do a recording, vCam, it'll just drop the camera straight into this clip. It won't create a new clip. And this is handy for some people will like to let's see, I want like a watch out. We'll do this over and over again, and they'll just drop the camera straight into the cut. So this is a way if you just wanted to add a cut. Say 3, 2, 1. So now I'm just gonna do a stationary cam. Oh well, it's still parented. Okay, well that's all right. This gives me some more coverage. And then now this is another, so you notice here, it just dropped this, it just inserted my camera right in there. And at any given time, I can do a cut to this one, right? New level sequence, and then cut it to that, and then turn this on. And then I can go back to camera front, or I'll go back to camera follow. So you can assemble these cuts by themselves, or you can, once you have your pieces, you can start to drop the camera right in there. And if I did multiple takes, it'll just keep adding the cameras. Now, you know, they'll be named off of the take number, so they'll be a little hard to see the names, but it's just another way that you can use the vCam and drop things in. Let's see, where are we on time? I bet you, oh wow, I'm super late. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tony. We really appreciate that you've been able to stop by. You know, it's always good to see you, and you know, you've got such a great grasp on all the technical knowledge here. So once again, we'd like to say thank you, and I'm going to switch us over to our last slide here so that we can put a bow on all of this. All right. Thank you so much, Tony. It's been nice having you here.
Thank you, guys.